Japan wrestling has exploded over the last year with an amazing performance of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, where Japan won gold medals in freestyle, Greco-Roman, and women's freestyle, multiple medals in freestyle, and is now considered one of the greatest wrestling countries in the world, if not the greatest. But what makes Japan wrestling so special? I'm going to tell you guys here, because I went to Japan and trained there for 2 weeks in 2023 in mid-March, leading up to the World Championships that September, where I eventually won the gold medal and became Serbia's first ever freestyle world champion. But before I talk to you guys about my experience in Japan, my 2 weeks of training, the culture, the wrestling, and what makes them and separates them from everywhere else, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and turn notification bells on for more videos and content like this. Now, over these past few months, everybody's been talking about Japan, how well they've done at the Olympic Games, the World Championships, with such as young superstar Masanosuke Ono rising to the field, winning a world championship only at the age of 20, Rei Higuchi finally claiming an Olympic gold medal, along with other wrestlers winning golds and making it feel like Japanese wrestling is taking over. But it's always been like that. Japan has always had amazing Olympic years, especially at the weights such as 57, 61, and 65. There's always been a horse in the race from Japan who have always produced world and Olympic champions over the years. And in every Olympic cycle, they seem to be prepared the best. Wrestlers such as Yuki Takahashi, Taketo Odaguro, Rei Higuchi, and Masanosuke Ono are some of the wrestlers that you guys have probably heard about at the lightweights over the last decade. Japan has also been known for being the best wrestling country for women's freestyle wrestling, with Yui Sasaki leading the trail, being a 4-time world champion, an Olympic gold medalist, and Olympic bronze medalist, only at the age of 24 years old. Now, how did I get the chance to go to Japan? Japan seems to be a country that's a little bit more excluded than the rest when it comes to training camps and being allowed to train there. But in reality, Japan is very excited and open to have people come and work out there. I got the opportunity because I wrestled Yuki Takahashi, former world champion, in the Tokyo Olympic Games first round, where I ended up falling to him. Luckily, I developed a really good relationship with him after the match was over, and we followed each other on Instagram. He knew that I had a very big passion for Japanese wrestling and the culture in Japan, so that was always on my bucket list for training. This connection with Takahashi, along with the Serbian Federation, I was able to arrange a trip where me, my father, and a few of the Serbian coaches allowed me to go and train in Japan for 2 weeks in mid-March. Wrestling for Serbia and living in the United States, there were often times where I was traveling a lot for my training opportunities or bringing partners in from other places, so this trip worked perfectly. Japan being one of the best places for lightweight wrestlers, along with the mix of a limited training partners and in a really cool location that not many people get to go to, really intrigued us and helped this decision. The first place we went to in Japan was Kofu, which was about 2 hours away from Tokyo, where we spent about 5 days at Yamanashi Gakuin University, also known as YGU. This university is famous for some of the wrestlers such as Yuki Takahashi himself, Taketo and Keisuke Odaguro, as well as Masanosuke Ono. Besides the long 12-hour flight and the 14-hour time difference, the practices were exhausting and very tiring. One of the first things I noticed was the intensity of wrestling and the volume of live wrestling that was brought to the table. Right away, I had barely had any time to adjust to the training, where they had a full menu practice schedule set along with the warm-ups, technique, and live wrestling back to back. The Japanese wrestlers seem to always be in such good shape, where when they're younger they seem to focus on their technique and development, but once they're in the college level, they seem to be pushing very hard. I learned that the college system is very similar to the United States wrestling college system with the NCAAs, except for Japan, it's all freestyle. So they're able to train simultaneously in the college season, along with trying to make a world team at the same time, which is really beneficial in my opinion. This is probably why you see so many young Japanese wrestlers competing for world team spots at such a young age, because they are training all together with some of the best wrestlers in the country all in one place at the college age, and get to wrestle freestyle full-time as well. Another thing that I noticed was the discipline and respect that each wrestler had for their coaches. Going into the wrestling room was like a dojo in itself. You had a lot of respect for the coaches, and where all the wrestlers lined up and bowed to their coaches and also to their opponents before wrestling and shaking hands with them. Each wrestler gave full effort when trying to wrestle with me, knowing this is an amazing opportunity to wrestle a world bronze medalist, me at the time, while coming at me nonstop trying to beat me if they could. After each go was done, even though I was exhausted, 3 to 4 guys would come at me, sprinting at me, trying to wrestle with me next, seeing who could go with me for the next wrestling and live go, which I found amazing and awesome. You don't get to see that in the sport of wrestling, where wrestlers have this much respect for each other and the competitive drive that they do in Japan. Usually we practice about once a day because some of the practices were so difficult and hard, but I only spent about 4 to 5 days at YGU, so I didn't get the full experience at the university. But they wrestled 3 to 4 matches every single day in their live wrestling. And then on Saturdays, they actually had one day dedicated to simulation matches, which was just pretty much about 5 to 6 matches. The best part of everything was how nice Japan was in general, and we got to spend a lot of time sightseeing and seeing a lot of things, but how hospitable the coaches were and how honored they were to host us. Takahashi and his wife took us around Kofu and showed us many cool things to do, such as trying to see Mount Fuji, even though it was raining that day, a winery where they have some of the best vineyards and wine made in Japan, and then taking us to an awesome spot with an awesome private restaurant dining experience with a private DJ and everything. It was one of the coolest experiences, and I'm very happy to have that relationship set up with Yuki. He's the man, and I'm very grateful for him having this experience with him and his wife and the other coaches as well. After about 5 days, we took a bus from Kofu to Tokyo, where Keisuke Odaguro from PTS Physical Training School picked us up. We then spent a full week training at PTS, which is pretty much the equivalent to an RTC. This is past college, and everyone in PTS all had contracts with the Japanese military and army where they had to serve a certain amount of time, very similar to the WCAP system here in the US. There was a more professional feel to PTS in Tokyo. We had to send photos of our passports to the Japanese coaches a full month before we were able to arrive in Japan, just so they could clear us to enter the military base where training was every single day. They also had their more higher level elite wrestlers who already graduated from college training, such as Takuto Odaguro, 2020 Olympic champ, 2018 world champion, as well as Daichi Takatani, Olympic silver and world bronze medalist. PTS definitely had a more senior level feel compared to YGU, which was more university. So the wrestling, there still was a lot of live wrestling, but it seemed to be more focused on technical areas and positional wrestling, very similar to how the wrestling is in the United States. At PTS, we trained once to twice a day. Usually our practices were in the mornings, and then in the afternoons we had a lift and with strength and conditioning, where I had my own program that I brought.
You want to be a world champion wrestler like me? Do you want to bench more than the bar like I used to do? You want to be able to do pull-ups like a real man? All jokes aside though, guys, Dr. Dylan Lemery, aka DL Training Systems, changed my training trajectory for my wrestling forever. In 2 years, I was able to become a freestyle world champion in wrestling. You know, working with Dylan, he sent me, even though he's in Spokane, Washington, he'd send me programs on my phone every week, modified for my specific training needs, and elevated me to the next level. Well, whatever level you guys are in, whether it's youth, middle school, high school, or even in college and beyond, he'll program for you guys, making specific programs for you guys, wherever phase you guys are in your life. Make sure to check out the link in description below. Let's go, baby. World champs and everything we do. The DL difference, baby.
But it was interesting seeing some of these Japanese wrestlers, knowing that me and Hetik Sabalov, world bronze medalist for Serbia, also, since both of us were in there, since both of us were coming as high-level world-class wrestlers, a lot of other universities decided to send some of their wrestlers in, such as NSSU, which is the University of Rei Higuchi. Now, I wrestled pretty much everyone at from 57, 61, and even 65 kilos that were on the top 4 in each weight class, except Rei Higuchi, who at the time had an ankle injury, so he was the only person in Japan I did not train with. But nonetheless, I got a lot out of training with them. I realized their style is very hard to wrestle and probably one of the most difficult and diverse styles of wrestling compared to the other schools of systems such as Russia, America, Iran, and Europe as a whole. The Japanese wrestlers held such good positioning always and were so disciplined in their positioning, as well as being so quick and offensive with their speed and skills combined. I think going to Japan really helped my leg defense out a lot, because even though I was good at hand fighting and finding offense myself, it was pretty much inevitable that somebody from Japan was so quick that they were going to beat my head and hands defense to get to my leg, so I got to work a lot on my leg defense. Also, a lot of these guys in Japan had very unorthodox turns on top, so it was nice working in parterre positions and picking up some things for myself for my own top game. I got to spend a lot of time with a lot of the wrestlers in Japan while at PTS, such as the Odaguro brothers, who really took me in and were able to take me around all Tokyo and show me around, along with the coaches such as Coach Shinichi Yumato, Olympic bronze medalist in London, and Yona Bitsu, who is Olympic champion in London at 66 kilograms. I made sure to bring a lot of t-shirts, clothes, and even my singlets that I brought for special wrestlers such as Odaguro and Yui Suzaki, who came in to train with me a few times at PTS, which was awesome because we bonded and made great friends, which they ended up trading and giving me back gifts, t-shirts like the one I'm wearing myself, and singlets that I kept and I will cherish forever. It was also cool getting to experience the lifestyle of Tokyo and see how people move and walk around and live their life, especially coming from wrestlers such as Yu Sasaki, Odaguro, and some of these guys who are high-level wrestlers just like myself, and kind of breaking that cultural barrier down and getting to see and spend time with people in Japan because they are amazing. One of the coolest things that I did while I was at PTS gym was do sumo wrestling training. The coaches arranged for me to try sumo training in the gym where they had a full sand pit that they raked and cleaned and wet even a little bit just to mimic the conditions that sumo wrestlers do their practice and training in. It was surprisingly hard. A lot of hip opening exercises, leg endurance, and I couldn't tell you what it did, but it was exhausting. And honestly, one of the coolest experiences I had, especially doing it with a lot of the other Japanese freestyle wrestlers. I just thought it was something that big dudes do and push each other around, but there's so much technique that goes into it, which actually helps your core and legs and balance for real wrestling. They have got the discipline. Their whole disposition, I think, is what makes them champions. Not only the technique, but also their desire to become the best, along with their discipline and sacrifice to the sport of wrestling, makes them so successful with this training style. They're always in good shape, and I was, after spending so much time and so much live wrestling and matches, probably wrestling over 25 matches while being there in practice alone, I was in really great shape leaving Japan. Tokyo is my favorite international city, being there twice, and I'm excited to be going again in a couple weeks for the third time for more of a family vacation. But of course, I'll be doing some training and even having the opportunity to do a wrestling clinic at Waseda University, Yui Suzuki's college where she trains in Tokyo. Overall, I think this trip to Japan really helped me win a world championship because due to the fact that I was able to be adversed with many different opponents of a different style that I wasn't used to, it helped me culminate my game into one, becoming more of an overall wrestler, especially on my leg defense. The most ironic thing of all was that the only Japanese wrestler, like mentioned before, was Rei Higuchi while I was in Japan. That's who ended up being my final opponent in the World Championships in September in 2023, where I took out the reigning world champion in a really close match, winning the match because of my leg defense. For me, this was such an awesome match to be able to even share the mat with Rei Higuchi, who ended up winning the Olympics in 2024. He'd been a legend and one of the most well-known Japanese wrestlers due to his longevity, unlike many of the other Japanese wrestlers who seem to win once or twice and retire very early. But nonetheless, it was great being in Japan, getting to experience this with all these people, amazing people, and making such great friends that now have developed a relationship of a lifetime and great friends for the time to come. If you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. World Champs and everything we do. Thank you.